In this lesson, we'll cover the process for generating policies and updating policies. Now, first and foremost, you don't need a platform, even though Cynomi has made one available to you with great options, which I'll show you in just a second. You can do this from scratch. You can go out on the internet, as I've said in other videos, and download templates, things to start with that you tweak and modify as you go along. You can take the ones that you use in your corporate environment and tailor them for your clients. You can combine different templates that you see. A lot of educational sites have good templates for free that you can download. But the problem that you're going to have with it is you are either going to give everyone the exact same policy and use the exact same template, or you're going to have to customize. And once you start customizing, it's hard to try to contain all of it in a single repository where it's easy to find. It makes sense that your vCISOs know what's the difference from one to the next. This is why I like a platform. If I'm looking at this from the perspective of I have 15, 20, 30 clients I have to manage, I want as much uniformity as possible, and I want as much automation as possible. Not to say I can't do everything manually, but it's going to be cumbersome from a time and effort perspective. It's going to cost you money because this is time that you could be spending on your customer in billable hours. But more importantly, it's going to be more difficult to go from virtual CISO to virtual CISO and make sure that they're each providing their client with the same consistent service. Don't forget, you are going to have turnover at times. So when one virtual CISO leaves and you hire on the next, you want them to be able to come in, see what the last person did, pick up right where they left off, and then provide the exact same services and results. So let's talk deliverables for a second within Cynomi's platform. You come over to policies, and the first thing that you're going to notice, at least on my demo account here, is that we have a lot of policies that we can choose from. And the reason behind this is we've completed the assessment for each one of these domains. So if you go into the platform and you only complete 3 assessments, you're only going to have 3 policies. So taking that couple minutes to answer the questions is going to generate the policy for you. So it doesn't really matter what the percentage is. As you hover over each item, you have the ability to view a policy. So let me go ahead and do that. Now, the nice thing about this is it's going to give you a purpose and scope. Almost every policy would have that anyway. And then it's going to give you the requirements that need to be met, as well as what you're meeting. So this is a great way of not only creating the policy, but seeing what parts are not being met. Think about this from the perspective of we often write policies or we download policies from the internet and they're great. There's a lot of substance and meat. There's probably some fluff in there as well. But the piece that's missing is once I go and implement that policy for my organization or a client, what says that I'm actually doing what's in my policy? Can I produce the evidence? So very quickly, based on this client alone, I'm going to deliver this policy and know that I'm missing a couple items. Now, that's not a reason to necessarily take it out of the policy, but at least to maybe highlight or something once you've printed it in PDF format to say, we're going to publish this as your policy for your company, but understand you're not meeting all of the requirements. Usually that's a great conversation for a virtual CISO to have, which is we feel it's better not to remove content because auditors want to see this because, again, these assessments are mapped back to compliance frameworks, but we also don't want to lie. So, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, what would you prefer? I take these items out and now your policy is honest and can be published as is. Or should we leave them in and highlight them or say, put something on there that says like future endeavor or partially implemented? And then I'm going to make a plan and provide a quote for how do we achieve these so that within the next couple of months or this annual audit cycle period, I'm actually going to take care of these. And then when my auditor comes in and looks at my policies and asks for evidence, I can meet them. So again, right out of the gate, all you have to do is click this download policy report button and you have a policy for each and every one of your domains. Cynomi has done a couple other things though. They've given you the ability to add your own attachments and put in specific notes for the company. This is great. So if you want to write something specific, you want to be able to remember for this client, different from the next client, you can put it all in the platform and you're not having to record this information in 2 different places. You can also upload things that you want. So if you want to have a standard operating procedure, you want to have some additional content that you as the MSP want to put in there, you have that ability. So while you're not actually changing the policy requirements, because again, those are mapped to the compliance frameworks, you are able to manipulate what goes into each client's portal. This is another great way if you want to work side by side with your client and you want to put things in there. You want to put notes. You want them to answer questions. You want to provide a quote but you're needing more information from them, you can add a question and make them respond. So this is great for feedback and going back and forth, and then documenting what you're doing. One of the things that's often forgotten about is, let's say that you go to a client and you provide a policy, and just as we stated, we say, hey, there's 3 things that aren't being taken care of. Let me go quote out what it would cost to fix that. You deliver it to your client, they decline it at least at that time and say, no, I'll circle back to it for whatever reasons, budgetary, they don't have the personnel, et cetera. You want a record of that. You probably have it in email or some other system, but you can put that into the notes for this company. So you can attach the quote. You can attach a note that says was provided on October 5th and customer declined or deferred this to next year. Now, as 3 months go by, 6 months go by, their next fiscal cycle starts, the next calendar year starts, you can circle back to all of these policies and controls that weren't met with 100% satisfactory standings, and you can say, what was missing? Oh, I've already spoken to this customer. Let me put it back in front of them. So this is a great way of taking notes, holding yourself accountable, and ultimately holding the client accountable.